the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
For Enche and John Dramani Mahama enya encounter with the media. Now during the encounter with the media, John Dramani Mahama making some comments regarding the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey in Ghana. John Dramani Mahama say, so we declare state of emergency part there lalai. A last option now na dream say or ba declare a state of emergency. Meaning John Dramani Mahama F4 galamsey so. Na enne yenye say before say John Dramani Mahama ebeba abemu na wa share bomb be say oba fight against illegal mining galamsey no. Emma empokwa okokoshia Catholic Bishops Conference. SI make sa promise e dey kire wo mo say oba ampa oba solve illegal mining. John Dramani Mahama make his comment to it. So it means clearly NDC for John Dramani Mahama a failure mine in the fight against galamsey. Na enne okopiemu ewo Jubilee House here ya Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference e de krata akwa to host ene amene e ka say a o mo tell John Dramani Mahama say wa na obegire anim e share yebo untimi na ada nyankopon said ye wo call Ghana around afana nyina na wo campaign wo kan ye say na do danko kufuado asay nsuo no through galamsey into the oba obe solve illegal mining no e de be na say esi hu kwan say wontimi and declare state of emergency ene Reverend Joseph Blay ena chese otwe enkomo yi ana omode ato Ghana fo nyinanum say omode krata yi ma John Dramani Mahama say onje na on declare state of emergency without hesitation and no any idea the power wumpa say ma on twentwen so kra omo ma ne naka kredi on declare state of emergency na nyesa dia and the omo so e de omo nan ebesi for
business story. The Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference is asking President John Mahama to, as a matter of urgency, declare a state of emergency in the fight against illegal mining. They warn that illegal mining menace is destroying the nation's environment, eroding its governance, and threatening the very soul of Ghana. Here are extracts from their statement, which I'm going to read now for you to understand indeed what they have been saying. And this statement was signed by the Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Jimfi, the Bishop of Tunyani and the President of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference, who really stated in that statement. We're going to project that on your screen right now. Now, according to the statement, the pra and Cobra Brim of Fin Ayensu and other once pristine rivers are now laced with mercury and toxic effluent. To desecrate creation through galamsey is not only an offense against neighbor, it is a grave sin against God himself, the creator and owner of all. The consequences are dire, and farmers can no longer trust the land to sustain their families, and our capacity to feed the nations diminishes. The Ghana Water Company strains at great cost to render water barely potable, yet traces of mercury, arsenic, cyanide, and chlorine persist in what is supplied. Children seduced by the mirage of quick riches forsake school for perilous fate, many losing their lives in collapses that are both tragic and preventable. Galamsey has become a cancer in our nation's soul. It corrodes politics, corrodes governance, and corrodes conscience, disturbing some politicians, members of parliament, municipal and district chief executives, chiefs, religious figures, and even members of our security services have been implicated, shielding illegal operators for personal gain, granting illicit concessions, or remaining silent when duty demands bold speech. Yet, in the face of this, the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, appears not to grasp the existential scale of the menace. He goes ahead to say that this meets the press session of the 10th September 2025. It dismissed calls for a state of emergency. This is profoundly troubling. There is late. Delay is betrayal. Now, not tomorrow, not later is the time to act. We therefore urge the President and his government to declare without hesitation a state of emergency in the most affected mining zones and around endangered water bodies. Now, let's engage Reverend Father Dr. Joseph Blay. He is an environmentalist and a Catholic priest as well, who is joining us right now on Zoom. Rev, it's good to have you here on Newsdesk. And also, what do you make of the recent release by the Catholic bishops with regards to the state of emergency being called for to ensure the menace of galamsey are hugely dealt with?
Thank you very much, Winston, and thanks and greetings to all your listeners. So I think I salute and congratulate and express my personal gratitude to our bishops, the Bishops' Conference. The church, as we know, is the conscience of society. Every normal human person must have conscience, and your conscience tells you what is right. And when you are not listening to your conscience, you're held into ditch. And that is what the church is doing. Secondly, the church is also a prophet. It plays the prophetic role. Unfortunately, here in Ghana, the word prophecy has been commercialized, but the prophet points people towards the mind of God. This is what God wants us to do. If you read the prophet Jeremiah, the prophet Ezekiel, this time for us, we're even reading the prophet Ezekiel. Ezekiel says, tell the people that doom is going to come. If they don't listen, you are free. If you see and you don't say it, then it is your responsibility. And that is what our church is doing. That is what our bishops are doing. They are playing the role of a watchdog. The dog barks and creates awareness that something dangerous is going to come. They play the role of the prophets that, look, we are deviating, we are vying away from the path of God. Let us turn to the Lord and then avoid the destruction that is going to come to us. So the Bishops' Conference, the church, the whole body is the conscience of society, as I've said. It is also the prophet. It is also the watchdog. And if you read, if anybody read the bishops, what they call the communique, almost every year they meet at their plenary and they come out with the communique. For the past 20 years, maybe even more, the bishops have been calling this attention to the environmental destruction. So the past 20 years, any communique that is going to come, it talks about the environmental degradation, talks about our rivers that we are losing. So it's like we have reached the peak. So that is what they are saying, that there's no time to delay. There's no time to delay. They have sounded the warning. They have called the attention of various governments. They have raised the awareness of church and all those role stakeholders. So the time is now.
Reverend Father, I understand your statement. Beyond just the statement released by the Catholic Bishop, what should the conference do?
Yes, so the conference has given proposal. You know, when you read a letter,
yes,
the letter is saying that we are not just saying that state of emergency, but even then there's mercy, there is also human face. Let us come out and then come out with a program to see those who are involved. What can we roll out for them? So I think if the government is going to work in collaboration with the Bishop Conference, the bishop can roll out, for example, something like cooperative farming. So we can come out with cooperative farming. We can liaise with some of the NGOs, some of our Caritas that we have outside there. If we have youth who want to enter into, let's say, rice farming, if we want to enter into vegetable farming, I think the bishop, the various dioceses can work hand in hand with MOFA, for example, to roll out something for the youth.
What role would a state of emergency play at a time like this when there is consistent push for it?
You see, the role of state of emergency, I'm not a lawyer, but from the layman's perspective that I have, anytime that we declare the state of emergency, it's like now we are at a critical point. We don't have the luxury of time to go through the normal procedure of passing through parliament, debating and this. So now, this point, we do what we ought to do now. It is like the time of COVID. We have to do this. We have to do that. So we don't pass through stages. The government says, well, we need so much amount. Let us suspend light bills. So that is what it means, that the action is so crucial. It's so dangerous that we cannot wait. So let's take immediate actions that we need. That is what the state of emergency, from my lay perspective, means.
I admire your fight because you are an environmentalist and you just don't give communion in church, but you've led the fight against galamsey in some areas. How has it been so far, and what would you say has been one of the key predicaments, or let's say impediment, to your fight?
I think one of my impediments is that, for example, recently my community, the youth themselves went and arrested 2 Nigerians right in the act. They also went in March. They went and arrested some who have invaded the forest, the southern part of the Nimri forest. These cases are in court. And I think that this law, as we are talking about the state of emergency, passing through the normal procedural delays, and then Ghanaians know that, well, So even those that we have arrested, where the Nigerians are still in court, I went to my village just Wednesday. I took shots. If I knew, I could have brought you the pictures. The people are still working now. They are working there in the night because they know that our watchdogs will go and arrest them in the night. What are the police doing? Are they reinforcing them? Are they beefing up the security and arresting the people? So these are some of the impediments that we get. Our legal system at the end sometimes protects the criminals more than those who are fighting the criminals.
What do you make of those who hold the school of thought that denotes that these individuals or those who go into Galamsey, if that act is basically brought to an end, they will not find any subsequent employment in any other sector? You are on the field.
I 100% disagree with them. And from my dissertation, my PhD research that I did, I always cite the example of Elmina in 2010-2014. People discovered gold, and in fact, the Itre River was even, emptied, and then they were ready. Fortunately, the chief called the stakeholders, and they came. Say, look, we are fishermen. We have things here. If we bring it here, we are going to. Once you see gold, if somebody doesn't have a vocation, a real call for his profession, even doctors will stop. Even the parliamentarian, everybody will stop. So gold, because it is gold, people will leave. So we have something to do. In my area, for example, the land is very fertile. In the Wasa area, it used to be the rice production area for Ghana. Now all the rice land are destroyed. So once you throw into the people, people will go. But if government should come, in my dissertation, I made an example like there are areas that are purely good, the Adansi area that are already destroyed. Then we have areas that are for water, for food, so that we can even have division of labor, diversity in Ghana. So areas that are mining, fine. Areas that we are producing food, that we are producing cocoa. Recently, probably you have seen the video where somebody is cutting a cocoa that has borne fruit from the root to the leaves and cutting it for Galamsey. So once you throw it in, you are going to lose. Recently, I don't know if yesterday we listened to Atem Bismarck talking about people who have lost their livelihood. 960 families, about 518 acres farmland, that's for Asante region alone, not to mention Western region, not to mention other Eastern region. So I think we are at the verge of disaster. And if I should quickly just bring one quotation from Laudato Si. Pope Francis says, once certain resources have been depleted, the scene will be set for new wars. And I think that is what Ghana is doing. We are preparing the recipe for civil wars, for community wars. Yeah, it's not a good thing to say, but a prophet can see ahead. And that is what we are preparing.
Indeed,
yeah, we should not wait
all
for the
these
disaster.
warnings before these prophecies manifest, what lessons must we learn now before it becomes too late for us?
The lesson that act now, that the bishops are saying that act now. Delay is betrayal. I think this should be a slogan. The bishops are saying delay is betrayal. And if you know Ghanaians, we are having the character or the habit that unless something big has happened and has happened to a big man, there is nothing dangerous. So we are not proactive. We are always reactive. Let the road have a bridge that is broken. Let there be an accident, excuse me to say, involving a minister. Immediately the bridge will be constructed. But until then, look on our roads. We have a lot of ramps without any signposts, without any painting. But one day, let a big man have accident there. So it's now. It's now. Delay is betrayal. For me, I think that should be the slogan. Delay is betrayal.
Finally, before I chip in this, I want to understand from you, how serious is this threat of poison in our water bodies and also its subsequent impact, because as an environmentalist, on just our food product that gets back to us in the market?
Very, very, very serious. I have pictures and I have scientific proof of fishes that are full of salt from the Elembele area, River Ebi. I have them here, I can produce. Just last Wednesday, I stepped down at the Ankobra estuary. And that was the first time. Normally, I just cross the bridge. And if you look deep into the sea, you can see about 5 nautical miles, all red. And the bishop didn't finish all. They talked about Ankobra or Femba, talk about Pra, talk about Bia. I've been to Tano, I've been to Bia, talk about Ankobra, talk about Boy. All these rivers, there's no livelihood. So the scientific research says that fishes absorb more of mercury than any other being. And I think recently somebody came out that the cassava, you just cut it open, is black. Some of the researches that I made, tuber food from Takwa and Soyem and those areas, they are all concentrated with mercury. So we are eating food that are not good for human consumption. And I think the effect is already shown. The doctors are telling us kidney problems have increased, mental problems have increased, the children are being formed with malformation. So it's until when? It's like, sometimes I feel like as a nation, are we signing our death warrant and say, well, let's all wait to die? But I don't think that is what human beings should do.
Thank you very much, Reverend Father Dr. Joseph Blay, and he's an environmentalist and a Catholic priest who is giving us indeed a well-researched understanding of the implications should we not go to the state or go on the path of state of emergency concerning water bodies. And the Catholic bishops raise very key concerns, especially on key rivers that have been polluted because of activities of illegal mining. Now,